All right. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Give everything a second to load up. We have yet to start on YouTube or Twitch. Okay, there we go. We got YouTube and Twitch up and running. So, good morning. Happy Monday, December 23rd, 2 days before Christmas. Always a great day to be with you guys. It'll be nice to hang out for the next 40 or so minutes before Amit gets on. I just want to run through the markets, see how everything's going, update my little spreadsheets that I have going on in the background so you guys can help me go ahead and do that. And then we'll hop on to see if there's anything interesting that has happened on CNBC this morning. As always, it's a great time to be alive and a great time to be here. I was thinking, I went to Wawa this morning, took advantage of that because obviously I don't get that down in Tejas. And I was thinking, man, I'm up this morning checking pre market, checking Bitcoin, checking for houses in New Jersey to buy. And it just goes to show that my mornings are most likely different than most people that are out there. I'm not saying I'm anything special. I'm not saying I'm the only one looking at houses. I'm not the only one looking at pre market. But when it comes to this community, when it comes to the people that are in this community and what they're actually for and what they're about, we're most likely looking those things up then what's the next Nike Air Jordan that's coming out? Or what's the next pocket purse that's coming out for people to buy? Now, I think that differentiates us, right? That means we're looking to put things into assets, and we're not really necessarily looking for those liabilities that people, generally speaking, these days are going after. And it reminds me of a story and we'll touch a little bit. I'm updating some of the pre-market stuff, which Dutch Bros is absolutely insane. I'm just confused as to why it's as high, but I can't complain because I have some stock. Um, Reminds me of a story. I was in a Walmart probably 10 years ago, and this is back when I was still kind of just getting my feet wet in the market, and I didn't necessarily have as much of a portfolio as I did right now. I didn't necessarily have that millionaire mindset that I do now. And at the same time, I was there, Walmart. This gentleman was stocking the shelves, and I looked down, and he's wearing the latest brand new $250 Air Jordans, and they were spotless. They looked great, but I was sitting there like, man, this guy maybe is making $10 an hour at most, and that's no hit on him, you know. But the fact that he's wearing shoes that are worth 25 hours worth of his time, to me, just made me completely understand what am I doing with my life, right? And it made me double down, triple down in the mentality that I had already kind of started. Keep in mind, this is 10 years ago. I'd already started kind of investing, but I think at the time I was trying to balance a little bit more. And there is that balance, right? So I mean, you have to have life and you have to have fun. But at the same time, I think sometimes people just, they don't go hard enough, right? They don't necessarily look at the bigger picture of what this investing thing is truly trying to do to them. What exactly is their objective? What exactly are they trying to get themselves away from? And so with that, I urge and encourage you guys to think different, think different than the normal, wow, natural gas, $3.80, Henry Hub. It's good for your boy Mateus Mula. Um, that is, think differently compared to what the normal people are talking about. There's a reason why you come to YouTube to talk with me, the Emits, the Stephen Fiorillos, the Chris Patels, the TJs, the Tevises, the Tanners, because we are like you. We think about these things. You can't go to the average person out there in the world and have these types of conversations because these people aren't having these types of conversations, and that's hopefully the community that we hope to build with you guys. Fool's Gold, thank you for the 99.99. You are the man, the myth and the legend. I was not expecting that this morning. Much appreciated. That's not why I come on. I come on to hang out and give any sort of love and support I can. And I get jealous of Amit because he's able to do it. He's able to come on, and granted he's taken sacrifices to be able to do that for you guys, and I wish I could do the same, but I don't have as much cojones as he does. But any opportunity that I can, get a I don't want to say a leg up, but have an opportunity to speak a little bit before him. Man, I'm going to take that opportunity. And so I said, you know what? I have a couple minutes. And my hope is to be able to do this once or twice again before the beginning of the year. So much appreciated for that 99.99. Merry Christmas. And hopefully, yeah, hopefully we can find some Peking duck. Sometimes, man, you get Peking duck and you're like, this is not it. But um, anyway, good story for the beginning of the day. Let's run through. As always, it is absolutely free to subscribe and comment in the comments section. Uh, and it's just a great day overall to be here. I'm curious to see what today keeps in store for us. I feel like we're gonna have a bounce back. It looks like things are looking pretty uppity. Tesla's up from what I saw. Um, MicroStrategy was up from what I saw. So, all right, let's just hop into it. December 23rd, 2024. If I remember, Apple was looking pretty decent. So Apple 255.41, believe it or not. Amazon 226. Dutch Bros $54, believe that one or not. Google 193. Palantir hanging above $81. The Spy trying to head back to 6,000, but it's at 591.60 at the moment. The Q's 520.58, Bitcoin 96,000, WTI oil $69, Henry Hub $3.80. Nevertheless, hit that like button, regardless if your stock is up, down, sideways, or in circles. We are here to hang out, at least for a little bit, before Amit's stream. Let's just see what we have hopping in on CNBC. See if there's anything crazy. Before that, though, let us see how things are going with you guys. Let's see. We got Dolly Dagger. Good morning. Good morning. Wawa's a good start. Wawa is a great start. Space Cat, what is going on? Our Rocket Lab was up when I last checked. Yes, it was from what I saw. Richard Boy King, what is going on? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Juan Carlos, good morning. Good morning. Midwest. As always, you're the man, the myth, and legend. Thank you for all the support as always. Custard and chips. Morning, my guy. My guy, my guy, my guy. Basuda, I don't know if I know you. Welcome to the channel. Hope to see you around even more. S3 Sphere. Sapphire? Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome early this morning. RT1, what's going on? Bryant, what's going on? Morning, Merry Christmas. If we don't see you again before Christmas, yes, to all of you as well. I'll try my absolute best to come on before Christmas, but you never know. You never know. Might end up going up to see my mom, and reception up there for internet is 50-50. So we'll see. Junebug, good morning, good morning, good morning. Mike K, Tinker and Thinker. Property taxes in New Jersey are insane. Yes, they are, but I'm not paying them. The tenants are. The renters, you beautiful, beautiful renters. Mike K, once again, Fool's Gold, the myth, the legend. On DMO, Peking Duck. Yes. Duck is a good time, man. If you find the right person to make it, that's for sure. It's so true. A lot of people don't invest or talk stocks. Exactly, man. You got to think different. You got to have that millionaire mindset for the numbers to show up. That's the thing. I try to tell people that all the time. I'm like, and it's so true. Like Jim Rome said this something so beautifully, and it took me forever. I listened to it a couple times. It's really inspiring speech about just life in general and how there's seasons to life, and after winter comes spring, and even if you're going through the downs of life, eventually things come around. After night comes day. you know um all these sorts of things that it's just like you just got to ebb and flow and make it through life. And one of the things that he said was, if somebody hands you $1 million, best you become a millionaire quickly so you get to keep the money. And the way you think about it, you're like, what does that even fucking mean, Jim Rome? And then you're like, well, think about somebody that doesn't have good tendencies with money. They don't know how to manage money. They can barely manage $50. So now you hand them $1 million. You think they're going to be any better than when they were able to manage money at $50 in their pocket? And the answer is no. So you really have to think, like, you have to have the right tendencies, and then eventually the numbers will show up. But and it's like you almost have to become a millionaire in your mind before the numbers actually show up. And so I try to say this every once in a while. This is something used to say, 4 or 5 years ago before I had seven figures next to my name, it was like, I have the right mindset. I'm doing the right things. I'm just waiting for the numbers to show up. And you should feel that every day, right? Your whatever your goal is, whether it's like a $2.5 million goal or $10 million goal or what have you, you have to think, is the decision I am making today to invest in X, Y, and Z going to get me a step closer to that goal? And so you might be sitting there like, I have $1,000, Matt. I'm gonna put it in AT&T, and I'm gonna wake up with $10 million in 10 years. It's like, well, let's think a little bigger, right? And I'm not saying AT&T is not the company. I personally am not looking at investing in AT&T, but and there might be somebody out there that is a prudent investment for them, whether it's the dividend or what have you. Um, it's out of favor. Maybe you could pick it up for 10, 15% in a month or something like that. I don't know. I'm not looking at it. But you have to think about where you're at and where you're going and what mentality you have. And do you have the right mentality to actually get yourself there? And I think it's just the world testing you to see if you're ready to get the numbers that are about to show up in your bank account. And if you're not, the numbers are going to go away because money goes where attention goes, regardless of what's going on. So, all right, enough about that. Yes, both are overlapping communities. They're great communities. Julie Law, what is going on? Much appreciated. Always continued support. Own your place in the finance YouTube space. Love that. Uh, Ahmad Shahid, what is going on? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Spine and Bloom Corner. You should do more often. We like you. I appreciate that. Afton, what is going on? Much appreciated. All right. Let's get to some of these things. As much as I would love to go through everybody, I love you all. Thank you so much for the almost 100 of you being here on YouTube, the two of you on Twitch. Juicy Andy Draftsman, Miss Tesla, what's going on? Keep walking, Patrick. We're looking good. We are looking good. Just Ball, thank you once again. I watched a lot of Rocket Lab YouTube content over the weekend while I had initiated a small position speculative previously. I will DCA to build out a position. Cheers and thanks for the DD. Yes, I have my most recent article that I wrote on Seeking Alpha in the description of this video. It should be. Dougie, what is going on, my guy? Much appreciated. Hot Curtis, what is going on? Early for you, my man. Johnny, what's going on? Palantir target price. Oh man, I thought it was overpriced at 45. So um, we'll see. Chinese equities, man, I'm not really touching them other than Baba. Let's see what happens with that. What's going on with Mara? I don't know. I don't really do the miners. What I will do is is buy more Bitcoin. So I'm not necessarily into the miners per se. I do a little bit of mining myself, but that's personal hobby mining. But it is what it is. Congrats, Hot Chris does a good job. Um, yeah, Hot Chris does a good job. Somebody's talking about NEXT next decade. Is there bad news for it this morning? No, 2%. That's not a big deal, man. Yeah, 2%, $6.80. Still, still the best Trump trade, in my opinion, for the short term. Next 5, 10 years, I think this one's a good one. And I just saw earlier that Qatar is going to actually and I think the link, I might have the link in the most recent article that I wrote. Let me just double check in the description of this as well. Yep, I have that in there as well. So if you guys are interested in reading about that one, Qatar just said they're going to start withholding some of the European LNG exports or exports going to Europe due to green concerns. Obviously, they might be too strict with respect to the green. It is what it is. So, all right, let's hop into some of these news things. Let's refresh. Let's see what's hot off the press. Let us see what is some good stuff that has shown up here. Um, let's see. We got Mad Money stuff. We got Bitcoin stuff. Let's see. Ooh, this one will be a good one. Top picks for 2025. Let's see. Let's get this one shared with you guys. This will be interesting. I haven't seen this. So we'll both be experiencing it together.
Ahead of the holiday shortened trading week, futures take a look. A bit of a mixed picture. We discussed it a little bit earlier, but right now you're looking at the Dow off about 40 points, though the S&P 500 is higher. That's hardly, though, I should say, 2.5 points higher. The NASDAQ up about 46 points. Want to talk markets, some stocks to watch. Stephanie Link, Chief Investment Strategist, Portfolio Manager at Hightower Advisors, as well as a CNBC contributor. She has her Christmas spirit on. She's basically wearing it on the air, Stephanie. However, as I said, the Grinch came early, and the question is there any chance of a Santa Claus rally come Wednesday?
Well, we are up 24%, Andrew, year to date. So we've had a really good
I'm
year.
very short term right now.
26%.
It's early.
It sounds like it. Sounds like it. But I want to keep it into perspective. We were up 26% last year, 24% this year. I actually think we could rally into the end of the year. And I think the winners are going to continue to win into the end of the year because you have portfolio managers that are underperforming their benchmarks and they're going to just try to catch up. And I think the losers probably continue to lose too on tax loss harvesting. And so that theme has been kind of playing itself out in the month of December, right? The Mag 7 have really been the leaders. Technology have been the leaders, and just about everything else has not really kept up. But I do think you are going to see into 25, maybe a little bit more broadening out. Look, I mean, I know last week was wild with regards to Powell commentary, hawkishness, the close call of the cut that they just did. All of that was not great, and it led to uncertainty. It's the reason why the market pulled back. But one thing we learned that they're focused on not only labor market, which is fine, but they're also focused on inflation. And the PCE, the core PCE number on Friday was okay. It's still high.
Can I just say, if you're looking at this chart, this is the last trailing 12 months. Look at how healthy that little small pullback looks like. That's just that 5,800 pullback. Looks super healthy. I could completely, I completely could see where we go back up above 6,000 and just continue on our merry way. Maybe there'll be some topping off and eventually some rollover, or maybe this is the rollover that we need, and this is the dead cat bounce that we're seeing back to 5,900 on the SPY. But you know, I don't necessarily see anything that could change that until January 20th. You know what I mean? Like we've already seen and heard from the Fed that we're going to slow down with respect to the rate cuts. We've already heard and seen from the Fed about the 25 basis point cut. We're down to 4.5% on the federal funds rate. That kind of shows us where mortgages are heading into the end of the year, the beginning of next, and where we'll probably be in terms of mortgage rates going into the spring, which is generally when housing buys pick up and everything the like. So there's that. I mean, I think that for now, this is the way markets are probably going to be going until January 20th, until something happens, and we'll see if that euphoric since November spike up continues between now and then. All right, back to what Miss Hightower or Stephanie's talking about.
At 2.8, but it could have been a lot worse. And so that's why I think we're all kind of breathing a sigh of relief. And in addition, if you look at some of the other data that came out on Friday, personal income, personal spending, wages, all of that were up north of 5%. And that's good news for the consumer, which is 75% of GDP. So you add this all up, I do think you're going to see the Santa Claus rally. And even if we don't, can't complain about 24%.
Tell me what you think is really 25 portends. Meaning, if we're having this conversation a year from now.
Yeah, I think you're probably going to see not 3% GDP growth, but maybe something like 2.5%. But that is still pretty supportive of something like 8 to 10% earnings growth. And that's really what I care about as an investor. I think inflation is going to come down eventually as growth slows. So I've been in the camp that the reason inflation has been high or elevated is because we've seen above average growth. We're running at 3.2% GDP growth right now on top of 3.4 last year. So I don't think you're going to see that momentum continue at that pace because we just don't have that fiscal spend. But I do think you are going to see above trend growth given Trump's pro-growth policies, deregulation, lower tax cuts. So all of that up, I think, yeah, earnings running about 8 to 10%. I think that's pretty supportive of a broadening out in the market, not just a Mag 7, but I still like Mag 7 too.
Let's just take buying.
How about outside of Mag 7, give us some names that you like.
Come on. That's why I just clicked on
so
this.
I mean, I would include Mag 7 and maybe Mag 8 if you put in Broadcom, right? I mean, the stock's up 97% year to date. It pales into comparison to Nvidia, which is up 172%. But this company just told you that their custom chips they are actually increasing their customer base there from 3 to 5. That AI service addressable market is something like 60 to 90 billion by 2027. That's 3 to 4 times as large as today. And they have earnings power of something like $11 to $12 a share. If you believe that, the stock's trading at 21 times. And I know it's had a heck of a run, but I do believe it
It's
will
cheap.
continue. Outside of the Mag 7 and in technology, I like Accenture. Accenture is actually only up 4% year to date, and it too is an AI and cybersecurity play. They just beat, they raised, they had an increase in operating margins. Their Gen AI bookings, Andrew, rose 144% in their quarter year over year, and their cyber revenues grew double digits. So I think that one plays catch up. So I like some of the names that have momentum, but I also like some of the ones that have mean reversion into 2025. And we can talk about a bunch of other names too, if you like.
I'll take them. Give some stocking stuffers.
Okay. Stocking stuffers, I love it. Rockwell Automation, that stock is down 6% on the year. And you and I've talked all year long about electrification and the energy transition that we're going to see over the next 2 decades. We're going to spend $4 trillion on electrification and this energy transition and automation between now and 2050. And Rockwell Automation is on the automation side. Their markets are bottoming. It has not participated with like the Eatons and the Quanta Services and the GE Vernovas of the world. But I think it will mean revert. They have a new CFO also who's laser focused on margins and profitability. I like banks. I like Bank of America. I thought Brian Moynihan's commentary on your show a week and a half ago was very encouraging in terms of better growth. They expect to see a little bit better loan growth, and deregulation will help M&A and activity. And I do think net interest income with the steeper yield curve will be the 2025 story. And these guys have about 60% of their revenues is that. So, and then also we get Basel III Endgame, which is the capital rules, as you know. I think they're going to be less restrictive. And Brian Moynihan is on record saying, I'm going to buy $20 billion of stock once we figure out what those rules are. And the stock trades at about 1.3 times book. And then finally, I like the gap because I do think it's a special situation turnaround story with the CEO, Richard Dixon, bringing in new management. They're gaining market share in Athleta to Nike, in my opinion. They have had 4 quarters in a row of better revenue growth, 7 quarters of market share growth. They're going to generate $500 million in free cash flow. Stocks are trading at 13 times earnings. So I like that one for 2025.
All right, very good with respect to that one. So before we hop into this next one, let's just talk a little bit about what she was talking about. I think I agree with her with respect to net interest income was something that I think a lot of people were anticipating going to be dropping. That might mean that banks have that opportunity to buy back more stock next year with higher net interest income. So that's something to consider. I think right now, until we get a little bit more clarity around how quickly the Fed will pivot, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Fed chairman changes under the Trump administration. He noted before his election in November he wanted to go faster, that we shouldn't be this high. He's restricting, and we're seeing that in mortgage applications, right? Obviously, we're not getting nearly as many houses through. People are holding onto their houses for longer. Obviously, it's restricting people moving freely across the country due to the fact that we obviously have these higher interest rates. Things are creeping up towards 7% again for a 30-year mortgage, and that's just obviously putting a lot of hampering in it. Historically, that's still rather low, but for the past 10, 15 years, it's tough. So you can't really get past the fact that we've been used to the 3, 4, 5% or mortgage rates, and now we're up around 7%. Seems very restrictive for people. And housing prices haven't come down to be able to make it more affordable as of yet. Yes, you're starting to see pockets of prices come down, but in the still more competitive areas, housing prices haven't come down, and so you're pretty much paying 30, 40% more on a monthly basis for the same home. So it's very difficult to be able to proceed with that. Yeah, I thought it was interesting about Gap as well, but Gap's kind of been out of favor for quite some time. Broadcom I thought was an interesting one, and I agree with her. I mean, that's one that Chris Patel and I covered a long time ago on Cash Flow Chronicles, and I think that one, man, it's one that I personally haven't bought into. I've been buying into Google, Amazon over the past several years, but Broadcom's one that I really missed the boat on, and I think it's just because it's kind of been out of the spotlight. I have a couple buddies that invest with me and I text with on WhatsApp, and they've been all about Broadcom. They're up a couple 100% just based on the fact they've been DCAing into it. Once every little bit, they'll add a couple $100 here, a couple $100 there, and they're up massively and they're doing phenomenal with that. So shout out to those guys. They know who they are, and doing big things with respect to that. I did have somebody ask if I'm looking into Rocket Lab for 2025. Of course, Rocket Lab 2025 is going to be a pivotal year. Looking forward to getting close to profitability towards the end of the year, if not, no, the first half of 2026. But even before that, there's going to be lots of notes about hopefully the constellation that they're going to be releasing, which is hopefully competitor to Starlink in some respects, not obviously with respect to providing internet or anything of the like, but will be hopefully be competitor in terms of providing revenue and keeping the stock healthy from a financial perspective, and gross profit perspective. And also, you have the Neutron launch middle of the year, and so I think there's a lot of catalysts, and I also would like to see the space systems business grow to 450 million dollars per annum as well, up from about 250 this year. So hopefully an increase of about 60 to 80% year over year, and we'll continue to see great moves in that respect. So in terms of Redwire and everything the like, I don't dislike them. I think everybody has a spot to play, but to me, you're always going to have, if you don't have launch, you're always going to be competing against the folks that do have launch. So it's always going to be easier for SpaceX. It's always going to be easier for Rocket Lab to send something into space because they can do it at cost rather than having to pay the normal prices of 55 million or 70 million for a Neutron or Falcon 9 launch respectively. They could launch it at whatever the cost is, 15, 20 million dollars for Rocket Lab and SpaceX. So it's like, who's going to end up with the better margins in the long term. And so I'm not saying that there's not going to be a standalone satellite only producing company, but I'm just saying, to me, having an end-to-end company that gets you from, hey, we want to put a satellite to space and actually launching it and operating it for you, is going to be much easier than working with so many few individual people. Like, okay, we have to have somebody that helps us and consults us on designing the satellite. Then we have to go find the consultant that's going to provide us what company is going to be the best provider for the satellite. Then we have to find somebody to launch the satellite. Then we have to figure out what date that's going to be. It's like, just talk to one person, and that person's either going to be SpaceX or Rocket Lab. So to me, it's a no-brainer. But I can understand where people are anyway, will this free market show be a recurring thing? We'll see, man. I mean, I still, unfortunately, around this time, Houston time, I am on the phone with London, and so when I'm on the phone with London, I obviously can't be doing two things at once. Maybe it'd be something I could try to get up a little earlier and do half an hour in the morning, but it would have to be, and I could maybe figure out a way where I work, those phone calls from London, and I have to cut it off at say 8:30 Eastern time. I've thought about that, but at the same time, I don't want to commit to something that I can't promise. But here I am on vacation, have the opportunity to do it, so it is what it is. Folks without a position of Rocket Lab, would you say the current price is decent if you're holding for at least 3 to 5 years? I would say 5 to 10 years instead of 3 to 5, um, because 3 to 5, I don't think you're going to see the true effects of what Neutron can do, and I don't think you'll see the true effects of what the constellation can do. You'll start to see it in the 5 year time frame. So keep in mind, you're going to get over a billion and a half dollars worth of revenue by the time you get to 2030 time frame, but that's really not going to be where the engine room is, right? So by that point, you might be launching Neutron 7 to 8 times per year, maybe 10 if we're lucky. So the cadence at the moment is supposed to go one, three in 2026, five in 2027, maybe eight in 2028. Is that right? One in 2025, three in 2026, five in 2027, and then eight in 2028. So, my hope is by 2030 we launch this thing 50 times. So we'll see what happens with that. But you have to think. I mean, who knows where we're going to be in 3 years? 3 years, anything can kind of happen in the space industry, positively or negatively. And so to me, if I was looking at it, I wouldn't say 3 to 5 years. I would say 5 to 10. But do I still think the stock is going to move in the next 3 years? I think it will. I'm very confident. I just think to see where the true trajectory of the company is going to head and what the terminal market cap will be, I think you need to be in here for the next 5 to 10 years because I don't, and I'm not saying we're going to get to that terminal market cap in 5 to 10 years, but right now, the way I view the company with everything that I do know to date, I could easily see this being a 25 to $50 billion company, and the more stuff that comes out, closer to that 50 billion. But you start to hear more about the constellation. You hear about the things that are going on after, and that they're not done, and how there's so much more opportunity. You're sitting there like, well, 50 billion could easily become 100 billion if these guys know what they're doing, and especially if they're trying to replicate very comparably to what SpaceX has done. But anyway, I don't want to make this Rocket Lab daily or anything like that. Dave G, what is going on? The man, the myth, and legend, Hot Dave. Let's see if there's anything else on here. I only heard the 135 on cadence 8 and 2280 is a low number for Neutron. Hey man, I think that that's a doable number. If you think about it, you start putting some numbers together. 8 times. I'm not very good with math, but let's just say 8 times 55. That's $440 million in revenue. That would hopefully make it profitable at that point. And then, of course, I think that you have to recognize there's almost like the commercial cadence for Neutron, and then there's the cadence at which they're going to do testing on their own and self-funding things to be able to get reusability down and stuff like that. And they might be able to combine some of that as long as they're able to hopefully launch the payload into space appropriately. They can try reusability and landing and everything on their own. But I wouldn't be surprised if they fund their own, 2 to 3 launches throughout the years, other than this initial launch, to be able to just test out some things without having the risk of having payload on board and things of the like. Because I think the benefits of it long term are going to be much 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 greater. Let's just see the. Let's just hop right back into. I thought this was an interesting title, so let's listen to what it has to say. The crack cocaine of market.
Our next guest says a new type of addict is showing up to Gamblers Anonymous.
People think we do have all these things.
I do have. It's the same person as my stylist and my assistant and my boss. It's all the same person.
All the same person.
Yeah, anonymous. You do too. Anonymous meetings across the country. And you have a daughter who will soon collaborate with that other person to where you have no say on anything whatsoever. Gunjan's here. Her piece in the Wall Street Journal is titled "More Men Are Addicted to the Crack Cocaine of the Stock Market." This is horrible.
Hell yeah.
I saw this headline. I was like, what are you doing?
Terrible. Gunjan Banerjee is the lead writer for the Wall Street Journal's live markets coverage. She's also a CNBC contributor. Is it like the Mag set? Is it options? Is it the Mag 7? Where are you seeing this phenomenon? And I used to be a stockbroker, and there was a time with options where I definitely know what you're saying.
More and more men are getting addicted to trading in financial markets. And what dozens of individuals told me, counselors, doctors around the country told me, is that a lot of this is concentrated in options, short-dated options, and cryptocurrencies. That's really what has gotten a lot of individuals around the country into some of the most trouble. As one counselor told me, one client walked into his office recently. He was suicidal because he had lost $14,000 trading options on Robinhood. So these short-dated options, the zero-day options, are really getting a lot of investors into so much trouble. One investor told me they were his downfall.
Those are relatively recent. My problem, Gunjan, wasn't really a problem, but on option expiration days, when you are going to settle, if you're right around the strike price, you're just out of the money, you're just in the money, you can either buy or sell the options. And a lot of times by the end of the day, it settles outside of the money. So things that are going for a 16th can close at 3, something like that. And I mean, you can't believe the amount of money that you can make. But then a lot of times the pros are gaming that system a little bit, and they'll close you out of
Those
the
are rookie
money.
numbers.
But with these, so now it's with these short dated options. How long have I've seen that, and we've talked about them. How long have those been popular?
This is Wall Street's hot new trade. These really only took off the past 2 years. It's a relatively newfangled product that has reached new heights this year. When you look at the data, it's really quite shocking how much of the activity is taking place in these
Oh my
short dated
God.
options. For example, in NVIDIA and Tesla options, around half of all activity is taking place in trades that expire within just 5 days. And those are the trades that people are calling the crack cocaine of the stock market. They're really quite addictive because the gains and losses are just so quick. And what traders told me was that it always seems like the next jackpot is just one trade away.
All right, guys. Well, I think it is time for the real reason I'm doing this pre-market opening is awareness. And I think that this is actually an intervention for all of you guys, the 150, 160 of you guys that are on here. You know, I brought this one up because I thought it was pertinent. I think a lot of us are jesting in the chats, but this is a serious conversation. And no, I'm just kidding. But interesting. No, I do see a lot of that, right? People that don't necessarily know what they're doing, they're legitimately gambling on certain things. And it's like, do you know anything about this company? Do you, have any idea what the heck they do? And the answer is no. And I do kind of resonate with this. Yeah, that's right. Um, Anyway, but I do want to put Amit's stream in the chat, so thankful for him. He will be coming on in the next 4 to 5 minutes. He's typically late, so maybe he'll give us another minute or so. But let's just do a round of ring around the rosy real quick with respect to how the markets are looking before we head in to the next 45 minutes before market open. We're looking at Bitcoin live right now, the last day or so. Let's just do a quick refresh of it and see what the market is looking like. Maybe eventually. Yes, no, maybe. Apparently, my sister needs to pay her internet bill. There we go. Bitcoin taking a huge dive after the 8:30. So it was hanging around 96, but over the last 30 minutes or so has dropped off pretty significantly. Okay, what about SPY? Let's look at SPY before the market open. SPY is at 590, so opening up just a little bit down. I was cautiously optimistic we'd end up. Let's check out our favorite Palantir. Palantir looking like it's up about 0.5%, so 80.88. There it is. Let's check out my favorite, Rocket Lab. Got over $500,000 riding on this bad boy. We're up around 25. I was doing some crazy numbers. Man, if this thing starts to move, your boy will be happy. So what else do we got in here? Tesla's one that I've been running some puts on. So happy to see that in 430 in the pre-market. MSTR should probably be down. Yep, down 2%, obviously because of what we're seeing in the pre-markets with Bitcoin. Let's check out the Bros. Dutch Bros, $54, still hanging in there really well. I'm curious if Google is still above 190. It is at 192, so we're seeing some positives on that one. Amazon, we're seeing some positives on that one. Barely flat though, at 225. We got Nvidia. Let's just see what's going on with that bad boy at 135. All right, so we got some good numbers in here, guys. We got some good check qubits. Oh man, are you just trying to humble brag? Oh Lord, there it is. 22%. Not all of us can be you, Tesla. Not all of us can be Miss Tess. Printing money. Call her the Fed because she's out here printing money, folks. Little humble brag over here in the morning. But I appreciate the 160 of you guys dropping in. Is this like the pre-emit show? I'm trying my best, man. I can't replace them. I can't replace them. For what it's worth, the honey scandal has chopped 0.32%. I don't want to call somebody out, but somebody was just like, sell all PayPal opportunities. You don't know how bad this is going to get. And it's down 0.3%. And let's see, it was at 91. We pulled back to 86. So what is that in the past week? 5%. So I don't know when the PayPal honey news broke, but so far, it's only a 5% hit over the past week, and last I heard, it was really over the weekend that this honey news broke. So doesn't seem like it's too big of a deal for PayPal. Let's see if there's any last minute questions before we hop over to Mr. Mitt. We need to find a baby elephant and a wife. What about a wife for me, guy? What about a wife for me? What about a wife for your boy? I mean, I already have Tesla turning me down, but Tesla and Junebug, they all turn me down, you know? But it is what it is. I try my best to keep on keeping on. But shout out to the 161 of you. I'll probably end it here. We'll get a Mitt starting in just a moment's time. And so I appreciate everybody. Yeah, the whole market dropped 5% last week. Exactly. So PayPal, not too big of a deal. Appreciate the 160 of you guys hopping in, 400 of you on X, and the 3 of you that have been hanging with me pretty much straight on Twitch. I'll see you guys on the next one. The island will attract a uh, a wife. I appreciate that. Now I just need to work hard for that island. Talk to you guys soon. Much appreciated. Cheers.